G'day folks, it's Joe here and I'm down on Creswell Beach. If you have a look, lovely beautiful day. It's about sort of 23, 24 degrees centigrade outside, so lovely and warm. And I'm down here because, up here technically, we're up in Northumberland in the north of England, about as far north in England as you can go. And we're here today because I'm just doing a little bit of a reconnaissance down here on the beach, because tomorrow we'll be leading a field trip here. Why? Because there are some fabulous fossil trees, particularly polystrate trees. Poly, of course, meaning many, straight referring to strata. These are trees that cut up through many, many layers of rock. And I'll show you some in just a moment. There's a whole bunch of them along here. The big one has unfortunately been almost all eroded away, but two new ones have been exposed since I was last here. So that's pretty cool. And like I say, we lead a field trip here. We love leading field trips here. And in fact, we lead field trips all over the world, all around the UK, because it's a great opportunity to actually come and get hands-on with the real evidence. Actually dig up some fossils for yourself and see the real evidence for yourself. Here's one tree. This is a newly exposed tree. You can see the cliffs here are very, very crumbly. They fall down all the time, so new stuff gets exposed as well as obviously old stuff gets destroyed. You can just about see here, this big bulbous thing is a fossil tree. In fact, if you get up nice and close, you can actually still see the bark that is there. Indeed, you've got bark around this side, and this is the inner filling of the tree. The inside of a hollow tree has been filled up with sediment, which is what we're looking at here. But you can see all the layers, and you see how the tree cuts up through many layers. So it's a great piece of evidence when it comes to rapid burial. I mean, this is the Carboniferous rocks. That's the Pennsylvanian Mississippian if you're in the USA. And these things are supposed to have formed in a swamp very, very slowly over millions of years as it slowly builds up. And the reality is, when you have a tree passing up through many layers which are supposed to take hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years to form, it does make a little bit of a problem if you want to argue that these rocks really are millions of years old. I mean, let's face it, you've actually got to bury that tree in less time than it takes a hollow tree to rot. And the answer is, it doesn't take very long for it to rot at all. So you have to be dealing with a quick process. And indeed, these Carboniferous sediments go all over the world. So we are really dealing with a worldwide flood. I mean, that's in a brief nutshell, but that's not actually the main reason why we're doing this little video with you today. The reason why I'm doing this today is to give you a little bit of an update as regards to Creation Conversations. Obviously, some of you will have noticed we've been absent from Creation Conversations for the last few weeks. And this was partially deliberate as well as partially circumstantial. So I thought it's worth coming on and giving you a little bit of an update as to what's going on with Creation Conversations, what the future plans are, and where we want to go from here. A little bit of context, and apologies if I keep sniffing and suffering from hay fever today of all things. But anyway, a little bit of context. Creation research is developing, and it's developing very, very quickly. In fact, I'm just going to sit down over here while we have a little bit of a chat. Creation research is developing very quickly. Creation research has not been a one-man show, so to speak, because there's been a huge number of workers and volunteers that have been involved with creation research over the years, but John Mackay was the one who was really sort of heading it all up. Well, in recent years, John Mackay has had to slow down. There's a number of reasons for this. First of all, he might be getting a little bit old, but don't tell him I said that. The other thing is, and this is for serious prayer, his dear wife Anne has been suffering with dementia for a number of years now, and that has had a lot of knock-on effects, not just for John with his own health. He's obviously understandably very weary. There's a lot of work that goes into caring for a very sick wife, but there's been knock-on effects for the ministry. There's been knock-on effects financially, both for the ministry and for John as well. And as a result, we've had to sort of restructure and redo a few little bits. What that basically means is that creation research is coming under new leadership. Craig Hawkins, who is a regular on Creation Conversations and has been involved with creation research for many, many years now, is going to start taking on a leadership role along with a couple of others. John will still be very heavily involved. Creation research isn't going anywhere, and neither is John Mackay. But these are all things that are necessary to be dealt with. Likewise, in the UK, we are developing the ministry. We've got the museum project, which is doing really well, and we're so grateful for Steve Chedzoy, who has come on board not only as the museum curator and developer, but also on Creation Conversations. He's a very valuable part of the team, and he's really taken the development of the museum forward. Of course, this does mean, all this shake around means that we have had to become more or attempt to become more financially viable in the UK. Part of that is me doing a lot of ministry. We were in a sort of a catch-22 situation for a long time. The museum wasn't being developed when I was traveling, and when I was at the museum and developing it, I wasn't traveling, and therefore the ministry wasn't sustainable. So we're very grateful to have Steve, but it does mean I've had to hit the road fairly severely over the last year or so. That includes trips overseas to the USA. It includes ministry trips over to places like Poland, which are not necessarily financially viable, but are very productive and very fruitful when it comes to doing ministry. What does that mean? Well, it means that this year, 2025, already, as of the end of this week, I'm currently on a ministry trip. We did a church yesterday, doing a church this evening, field trip tomorrow, another church on Sunday. By the time we get to the end of this weekend, I will have been involved with over 100 engagements this year. Now, that averages, by the way, to around one ministry engagement every day and a half. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm doing something like that every single day or every single day and a half. Some days we do certainly double up, and in fact, when we did the USA ministry trip, we averaged between 2 to 3 events a day, and the most busiest day we did 6 engagements. So it really is quite full on. As a result, I'm taking a little bit of a break next week to spend some time with my wife and my daughter, which I'm very much looking forward to. A little bit of a sabbatical for 5 days. We're going to work through 2 Timothy together, study a bit of the Bible, have a bit of time together. I'm very much looking forward to that. But it gives you a little bit of context as to partly why we've had to slow down with Creation Conversations. When I'm in the States, our regular time for doing Creation Conversations, when I'm in the States, it's middle of the afternoon. I'm almost always doing something on ministry. On a Friday, we're increasingly doing more Friday evening engagements. It's becoming quite difficult to actually find the time on a Friday evening, or indeed that Saturday morning for the Australians, or Friday afternoon for the Americans. It's quite difficult to actually find the time to sort out all the technology, set up all the technology, and so on and so forth. We still also don't have a set studio, although we are developing that, courtesy of Steve, and that will make it a lot easier to carry on when we do come back to doing Creation Conversations. So part of the thing is, out of necessity, both for getting the ministry ready as well as everything else that's been going on with creation research, we've had to just take a little bit of a step back and a little bit of a break. So we are not finishing Creation Conversations. We want to come back, but we're going to be doing a little bit of a break. We're still going to put out as much as we can the daily videos. It's been a little bit of a glitch the last couple of weeks, but we should be back up and running very soon with that. We'll be putting out the daily videos. We'll be filming things like the presentations and the talks, the one-off things like field trips to the beach. And these will all be going up on YouTube. So watch out for that. But over this summer, we are going to have a little bit of a break for Creation Conversations. It allows us to also rethink how we want to do it. It allows us to hone in exactly what we want Creation Conversations to be. When I started Creation Conversations with John nearly 3 years ago, it was simply just to promote one of our new documentaries, Fire and Ice. Great documentary, by the way, all about climate change in Iceland. And it was just a half-an-hour chat with me and John. It went so well, we decided to do it again. And the half-an-hour chats became hour-long chats. We started inviting other people in. We got a regular team. It was going really well. Well, some of that has changed. Some people aren't involved in more anymore. And we just need to really work out exactly what it is we want to do with Creation Conversations. So like I say, we're not gone. We will be coming back, probably in a month or two's time. We will come back with fresh ideas. We will come back revamped, and hopefully with somebody who can help us take over some of the technology side of things as well, with a new studio. We are probably looking to move to a kind of a hybrid system where we make podcasts that are pre-recorded and edited together, nice and professional, which will go out, every week or so, mixed in with a lot of the live streams. We like the live streams. We like being able to engage with you guys, and we really appreciate the response that we get from that. So we are going to carry on with live streams, but a bit of a hybrid system, part pre-recorded in the studio. The Creation Evidence News would make a really good program, we think. Likewise, we like the headlines. We think that's really good. We like the Q&A. So we want to keep going with the live streams as well. But it just gives us a bit of time to think through what we actually want, gives us a bit of time to work it out, and we will be back soon. Watch this space. Goodbye. God bless, folks, and we'll see you very soon.